Without change, we will not be ready for the next pandemic. That is a given. This is a moonshot project. This is a podcast to take you through the first step that I had to take, which was change, in order for me to reverse three chronic illnesses, one of which was potentially fatal. One of my purposes in life is to make health and wellness as infectious as a disease. My friends and family who listen to my boring moonshot projects, they tell me that I'm a psychotic optimist, but I tell them that's okay. It is a communicable disease, so I'm fine with that. But we are going to have to change our subconsciousness and reprogram what we have been socialized in. And I'm going to tell you why we need to reprogram our minds. It's simple. I have said this before, and I'm going to say it again. In the next 2 years, at least 1 in 4 people could be fatal victims of the next pandemic. A victim says, I have no power. However, in this tribe, we do have the required power. The next pandemic is just 2 years, 3 years, 4 years away. I put out a podcast that was banned. It is titled "The Next Pandemic Is Here," and as a result of people listening to that podcast, I've had questions on. So what do we do now? How do we prevent the next pandemic? So this particular podcast is about change. It's about introducing how we will address those questions, the what and the hows. So hang in with me. 20 minutes tops will be done with this. This podcast is about saving one soul, transforming one life from the comfort of your homes. I'm not asking you to come for seminars or to come for programs. It's only going to be at the cost of empowering and educating oneself. That is all that it takes. I could not save one life 16 years back. Now that has changed. It has changed with what I know today. In 2005, at the age of 76 years, my dad passed on, literally in my arms, from complications. Prostate cancer, it was called. He deteriorated into a neurodegenerative disease. He had dementia. He got worse. He got into kidney failure, amongst other chronic illnesses. And this was all from an initial tumor growth diagnosis. He was being treated for cancer. Now, I've had to reflect on the sequence of events that have happened or that have followed since 2005. And I'm making a controversial, bold statement here. And that statement is the fact that there is no such thing as a gene that causes cancer. None. Now, part of my mission is to get us to realize that a lot of other chronic illnesses, cancer is an illness, okay? A lot of them, which we call diseases, could be prevented or at least reversed. And we are going to show you how to do that here. Now, before my dad started his prolonged chemotherapy and radiotherapy, he was a very athletic, energetic, and a very bubbly man. His environment changed his biology. He was a biochemist who unconsciously allowed his subconsciousness and his environment to pull the trigger on his health. Now we are here to fix that. That is what we are here to do. I promised myself, I promised my dad, and all those that I lost to cancer, friends, family, I promised that I will play my part to make a change. Now, here is part of that change. If I change, if I transform and save just one life, I will have achieved part of my moonshot mission. And I'm going to say it again and again. Genes do not cause cancer. Not one gene. There is no such thing as a gene that causes cancer. Now, you need to listen out for my podcast on that. Almost 20 years later, three top physicians, plus a fourth one who happens to be my well trusted and respected personal physician, all of them symptomatically and wrongly diagnosed me with severe depression and anxiety disorders as a result of severe stress on the job. I was diagnosed with what I was going to be treated with. And in just 2 years after my first treatment, I got on the same path as a lot of chronic sufferers. I began to stare liver cancer in the face because I developed liver fibrosis, and gradually slipping into liver cirrhosis, I realized that, at that point, I realized that I needed to make a decision, and I decided to take charge of my life. At that point, I realized that I was taking the wrong dog to the hunt. So I did two things. I decided to change. Now, the word decide is a Latin root word, decade. It's a combination of two words, de, which means off, and cade, which means cut. I literally cut off from the mindset of what was failing me. I decided to get creative. I decided to put my desires on an alternative path, and I created change in the process. I decided to move out of the mentality of a victim, of having that victim stance, blaming the failed system, and I decided to move into true empowerment by taking responsibility for everything that related to my health, literally everything. The basis for my understanding is simply the fact that as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It wasn't such a tough decision. Basically, I was staring deterioration and possible multiple organ failures over a period of time. Now, just as my dad suffered, I quickly embraced the power and function of my mind, because I saw that just as he suffered, I needed to make a change, and that change was to embrace the power and function of my mind. I realized there was a total break in functions. I needed to recreate cohesion between my current belief systems and reality. And what I did basically is what a lot of us actually go through. Our minds are always scanning the environment, scanning for evidence of what it already believes in. And because I believe that 95% of our lives are being run by our unconscious minds, what happens is that we can feel like we have little power to change it, but we actually do have the power to reprogram our minds. We have the power to change our beliefs, and that is exactly what this platform is for, and that is exactly what I did. I changed my belief system. So, Chinese entrepreneur Zhu Zuwei on the previous screen, he is such an inspiration. He is such a legend. He has developed a working, successful platform in order to work on my healing. I came up with a similar or but I won't call it similar. I came up with a new belief system, a new personal platform. I came up with a 9 pill toolbox kit, which I call synthesis. Basically, a platform was needed. Now, this particular platform, the 9 pill toolbox kit, is going to become a 10 pill toolbox kit, and that's going to be launched very soon. Today, we're going to be using the Empower and Education pill, which is the one circled in purple on the top left. So, as I've used this tool, or rather with this tool, and over a 2 year period, I have taken consistent, difficult, however decisive health steps. I was determined that my familiar past will not become my predictable future. And I noticed that not only did I reverse the 3 chronic illnesses that I was suffering from, and these are fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and liver fibrosis, I also noticed that I felt much younger, more energetic, much happier, and I came up as a consequence with my popular catchphrase. The fact that I was able to reverse and restore my health gave me a reason to say, when you think good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you do good. Now, if you believe that your thoughts and your genes have something to do with your destiny, and you can't think greater than how you feel, then what we are inviting is basically waiting for crisis, or waiting for trauma, or waiting for disease or a diagnosis. Basically, we're waiting for loss or some sort of tragedy to make up our minds to change. And now, my message in designing this platform, this tool, the Synthesis 9 pill toolbox kit, is why wait? Why wait before you take action? I lean on people's successes, and an old friend of mine, Poju Oyemade, rightly put it. We need to meditate on the outcomes of the steps that we are taking. I therefore zoomed my focus on the 9 sentences pill toolbox kit. I became intentional about my health, about my wealth, about my career. I just needed to use this beautiful, what I call it, this beautiful phrase of Porter. It is so appropriate. So basically, I started to rehearse and put in the work. I began to use the 9 pills every day. I became intentional. I began to practice daily for hours, for weeks, for months, for years. And that became my story. Now, I love golf. Moons ago, when I picked up golf, I had to, for hours and hours, days and weeks, I did by repetition over and over again. I had to practice to get my golf swings right. And practice I did till my swings became a subconscious muscle memory in my body. Meditation is exactly just like that. To meditate is to become familiar with, it is to stay with. Michael Jordan practiced and practiced his shots. He repeated the same shots thousands of times. He fed his body with a new program. Golfers do the same, repeating and remaining in familiar states, remaining in familiar positions of swings till we hit the ball on what we call the sweet spot. It's essential to have that stay of the mind. Now, as we change our mind, what happens is that we change our biology. I believe that my thought had a lot to do with my destiny. I believe that, and I still believe that the same thoughts lead to the same choices. Now, the same choices that we take lead to the same behavior, and that same behavior creates the same experience, and the same experience leads to the same destiny, leads to the same emotions, leads to the same feelings. And we can take those same feelings and lead them to the same thoughts. It's a vicious loop, it's a cycle. Join me as we go on a journey with the Census's toolbox kit. That is essentially what this particular podcast is all about. It's a journey. I'll be taking you on a journey from the next podcast on subject matters which I will call, or which I'm going to refer to as the How We series. Okay, some are going to be controversial. I'm going to refer to or discuss topics like how we reverse liver toxicity, because I did that. How we eliminate joint pains, because I did that. How we can recover from chronic fatigue syndrome, because I did that. How we can prevent cancer, because I was on the way to getting into a state of cancer. How we get rid of fibromyalgia, because I did that. How we fix our sex life, because we did that. How we overcome erectile dysfunction, because I did that. And how we can reverse abdominal obesity, because I did that. How we can eliminate, or how we eliminate stress, because I did that. And how we can change our minds, because I did that. The list is endless. Just stay tuned to the podcast that you're going to get on this channel sooner than you can even blink your eyes. So as I close, I think it's appropriate for me to introduce myself. My name is George Mashiko. Academically, I have no business talking about what you will hear me talk about in my podcast. I'm an architect and interior designer by training. I got into the IT field, and I stepped into cell phone, mobile phone quality assurance consultancy, and that was my profession for over 20 years. And now I am an agent of transformation in the health and wellness space, and that was by design. So I'm going to close now on this podcast. I am doing this because with decisive change and using the toolbox kit, the Census's toolbox kit, I reversed 3 chronic illnesses, and I had the grace to survive a possible liver cancer, and which could have led into multiple organ failure. So this is my story. This is my platform, and I welcome you to become a part of that tribe. So the thing here is this. We hope that you will support our podcast. This platform is about information that could be in total and diametric opposition to what we've been socialized in. I get that. So we are thinking long term, and as such, we are laying a foundation, and we have scheduled that the foundation is a 5-year project. That is a short time in the bigger picture of things. We are looking at having at least 5 million listeners and 555,000 organic tribe and community members by 2026. It's a 5-year project. By providing and building this platform, we are writing a chapter of a part of everyone's life, which is basically protecting our future generations, our children. Now, without optimal health, without homeostasis, wealth just becomes a mirage. It becomes an illusion. You are part of that foundation. Now, as we build, we are taking you through journeys in health and journeys in wealth. That is the whole intention of creating this podcast. It's a health and wealth journey. Please do subscribe to get more educational and transformational podcasts. I believe they are relevant. Look out for more of our podcasts. You can also visit our website. You can visit our website on www.gmaspeaks.com. I'm going to end with what I started with. Without change, we will not be ready for the next pandemic. Thank you very much, and God bless you.